Good morning, Boker Tov. Happy Tuesday to everyone who's joining us, Tanya Live. It's great to have you, and it's another glorious day here in Toronto. Hope you're doing well. How is everyone doing? Shots are in, vaccines are happening. Curious how you're doing. Put down over here on the comments how you're feeling today. It's 2 weeks away from Pesach. No, less than 2 weeks. So how's your feeling? How's your mood? Give me some comments so I know that I'm talking to dear friends. Okay, while you're putting in the comments on how you're feeling, I would also like to ask you to please put down if anybody needs special Tehillim today. We'll start off with giving tzedakah and take a coin. Say these words, Gedel tzedakah, shemikarev v'sasagu'ula. I put it right in there. We have a lot of people to say Tehillim for today, and I hope our prayers are heard upon high. Yehudis bas Sarah, Chana bas Rivka, Alter Chaim ben Bella, Adolchana bas Gnendel, Freda bas Yudit, and please put down, if Sarah, if you're on, Yaakov Necha Ben, his mother's name eludes me now, if you could put that into the columns. Just wishing everyone a refuah shlema. Only good news. Okay, so please tell me, how are you feeling today? Let me see some good vibes going on. Anybody want to tell me, what's your mood today? Brenda, Boker Tov. How are you feeling today? Anybody want to share their moods? Are they feeling uplifted? Are they feeling positive? Are they feeling jubilant? Are they feeling excited? Are they feeling troubled, anxious, concerned? Are you feeling enthusiastic? Are you feeling compassionate? Okay, we have grateful. Good. Thank you. Good morning, Evelyn, and Mazel Tov on the baby again. Corinne says feeling much better. Okay, it's good to hear. We have positive. All right, we have some good positive feelings today. I'm really excited about that. And jet lag, but good to go. Okay. Sancho, welcome back. Okay. So all in all, I feel like we're getting some positive vibes today. Feeling like it's going to be a good month. We are in the month of Nisan, a month of miracles. Nisan comes from the root of Nes. So if anybody needs miracles in their lives, this is the month to pour out your heart to Hashem. This is the month to connect spiritually with your soul, with your godliness, because Hashem is very close to us. We say, just like God redeemed the Jews bin Nisan, so too ba'asidin Niskael. So too in the future, this will be our month of redemption. So that's a lot of good stuff that we will be having this month. Good morning, Clara, Francesca. Sanchez feeling jet lag from springing forward. Okay, good morning. Okay, and Elaine is feeling hopeful. That's wonderful. Okay, good morning, Rosalie, Boker Tov. We're ready to get right into chapter 45. You know, I was telling a friend of mine, another shlucha, I said, I'm doing Tanya and up to chapter 45. She goes, oh my gosh, I never made it to chapter 45. So ladies, we are really advanced. We are getting to places that so many women have never gotten to. Give me a thumbs up if you are excited about chapter 45. If you're excited that you made it to this chapter, you hung in there, you're one of those real diehards. You've made it up to all the way to chapter 45. Good morning. Yes, Rosalie, Chaim ben Sarabela. All right, I'm feeling a lot of love. A lot of you are excited to get to chapter 45. A lot of Tanya students have never made it to chapter 45, and I am totally excited, and you inspire me. You women inspire me every Tuesday morning to keep going, to keep studying, to push my godly soul further. Like, I've never really made it to this far in Tanya. You know, I have this Tanya. I have the practical Tanya written by Rebbe Shneur Zalman Liadi. Many of you have this book, the Book of In-Betweeners, a guide for us to grow in our Judaism and at the same time to discover our own journey. Good morning, Arlene and Esther. Thank you, Francesca, for that beautiful comment. Tanya helps us not only in our relationship to God, but it actually inspires us with our relation with our children. That's right, Rich, we're a good team. I totally agree. Tanya inspires us to have a relationship between our God, but our relationship with our spouses, our relationships with our children, our neighbors. I mean, which one book gives you so many tools? If you have to pull out a toolbox, I would say Tanya is the toolbox. You pick a parenting book. It teaches you how to be a good parent. You pick a marriage book. It helps you with your relationship with your spouse. You want to become a good Jew. You open up a Torah. But what book gives you relationships in all areas? And that's the Tanya. That is clearly the Tanya. So I'm going to ask you a few questions today. For those of you that joined in late, just please jot down in the comments how you're feeling this morning so I can get the feedback here live on Facebook. Tell me how you're feeling. Okay, I need to know your mood because that's going to help me identify which trajectory I should take today. How many of you have heard about in spiritual philosophy about the columns? The 3 columns specifically. We're going to talk today about the 3 columns. There's the column of chesed, which is compassion. Good morning, Tova. There's the column of severity, which is gevura. So you have the right column, which is chesed. You have the left column, which is gevura. And actually, these 2 columns take after our patriarchs, which is the first one, as you know. Can you put down in the comments? The first patriarch, as you know, is Avraham. The second column, which is the second, is Yitzchak. And Avraham is all about chesed. That is indiscriminate love. It's all about just giving and giving indiscriminately just because you want to give. That's your nature. Is that a good thing? Tell me in the comments if that's always a good thing. Because today's class is going to be a real give and take. Because it's really a culmination of a lot of what we learned in the first 44 chapters, but also common sense. Is compassion always a good thing? If you would identify yourself, say, I'm a purely compassionate person, is that good? Is that good? I'll answer that question in a minute. I'll tell you what Tanya has to say. And when you talk about severity, a person that has gevura, strength, is that always good? You're a person that has guidelines, you have borders, you have distinctions, you know how to discriminate, you're a real discriminatory person, and you're proud of it. You're like, whoa, me? I am totally a person that has strong values, I have borders, I am very, very distinct, and I'm proud of that. Do you think that's good? I see we have yes and no. Who thinks chesed is better than gevura, or is gevura better than chesed, which is compassion versus severity? Or those two the ultimate columns, the ultimate actions that a person should live by? Or do we get to a new column, which is what we call in Tanya the middle column? Anybody know what that middle column might be? That middle column is chesed, compassion. There's a difference between kindness and compassion. So Francesca says that's right. Since Francesca says, not always, when it becomes sort of victim or towards other people. Thank you, Dina. So, really, chesed can be a challenge. If you are that parent that is very loving and giving, and the child wants to have lollipops for dinner, and ice cream for supper, and more ice cream for dessert, and you are just such a giving mom, and the kid also doesn't want to go to sleep at night because your child wants to hug and play with you, and you're up with the child till midnight because you are full of compassion. Do you think that that's a healthy mother? Is that a healthy familial situation? Or do you like those homes where you come in and there's posters for everything? Shoes here, coat there, lunch bag there, big sign. Wash your hands first before you come to the kitchen. Next, sit down and take a placemat. Don't put any food on the table. I don't want to have any crumbs. Okay, then you have a sign that says jobs. Chayla, you do this. Mendy, you do that. Bensi, you do this. Basi, you do that. No supper until everybody does their job. Hey, your house is running like a machine. And you're so proud of it. You tell your friends, my kids, they wouldn't dare come in without wiping off their feet and putting their boots away and hanging up their coats. No monkey business in my house. In my house, it's absolute guidelines and rules. And that's why my children go to sleep on time and they wake up on time and they wouldn't dare complain. Guys, that's severity to its utmost. Is that happy? Oh, so Elaine and Rosalie says you have to have a balance. And what is that balance? Anybody know the terminology used in Tanya? I want to test you, my dear friends, today. What's that terminology used in Tanya? That middle road. Maimonides always says Jews have to go the middle line. Human beings must be in the middle. So Dorit says it's authoritarian versus authoritative parent. Well, what is Tanya telling us would be the perfect balance? And that today is the third column. So I said, chesed, the first column, which is kindness, absolute kindness, indescribable kindness, that is Abraham. Yitzchak was absolute severity, absolute discrimination, Gevurah, that's the left column. But Corinne, we are learning today the middle line. The middle line takes a little bit of both, but the emphasis is different. And I'll explain to the emphasis. You see, the middle column is called chesed, which is compassion. And compassion has to happen regardless of your nature. So if you're instinctively going to give unconditionally, compassion says, wait, is that what that person needs now? Is that what your child needs now? They need indiscriminate all the time. But compassion says, what do they need now? So right now, maybe your child needs a little bit of severity. They came home, they threw a tantrum, they're throwing their shoes all over, they're breaking mirrors. What do you need now? So the Alter Rebbe says, you need to have compassion, which is setting limitations and giving love, which means it's what is the benefit for the child. And this is where the crux is, my friends. It's not about you. What do I mean by that? It's not about you means, Francesca, we're going to get to part about compassion towards God. That's today's lesson a little bit later. Compassion means it's not about you. So you could say, I am doing for my child because I want to be the best mother. Okay? Give me a thumbs up if you know people like that. They're just the best mother. They're always doing, even if it's not good for the child, but it's good for them because they want to be the best mother. So a child who leaves the lunch home on Monday, I'll tell you in a second of it. He leaves home on Monday without his lunch. You run to school. He leaves on Tuesday without lunch. You take the lunch to school. He leaves on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All week, they leave the lunch. All week, you run to school with the lunch because you are such a great mom. You are full of kindness. And you promised yourself when you got married, you were going to be the opposite of your mom, and you're just going to be full of kindness. Is that healthy? Now take another child. On Sunday, you remind the child, don't forget to take your lunch. Monday, they forget. You say to the child, go hungry. Tuesday, child forgets, go hungry. Wednesday, and the child just keeps forgetting, and you are allowing your child to go hungry all week. Where's the balance? Corinne says you're enabling and you're not teaching them. So what the Tanya is telling us is we have to learn as moms, as wives, as Jews, to be the middle column. We have to learn compassion, which means you have to do what's best for your child. If your child needs a little bit of chesed, but they will also gain from a little bit of severity, then even if it goes against your nature, and you're the kind of mother, and hi Gail, but I sometimes feel like parents who are Holocaust survivors, they suffered so much, they just wanted to give indiscriminately. I know because I have family members who are Holocaust survivors, and they just wanted to give. They never wanted to say no. And Gail says, repeat offenders need to learn and not have parents coming to the rescue. Exactly. They just wanted to constantly give. They never, ever wanted the word no to come from their mouth. But they were enabling their child. They were not teaching their child how to take responsibility. They were not teaching their child how to fend for themselves. They were not teaching their child any ability to discriminate between being forgetful or, don't worry, my mom will come. She's always there to have my back. That's a beautiful thing for a child to know. But practically, you have to say to your child, I always have your back, but you need to learn boundaries. You need to learn to be responsible. I love you so much. I'm going to teach you about the laws of responsibility, of getting up on time, of being there for your teachers and for your friends, of showing up when you need to show up. I will be there, God forbid, if you fall. But initially, I need you to learn boundaries. And that's where compassion comes in. You learn from your mistakes. And we have to be there as a child, and a child that's always been coddled and cradled. And I could tell you from being the mother of a special needs child, one of the things that when we go for therapy as a mother of a special child, we have to learn how to have sometimes tough love. And this is where the Rahmanut, that middle column, falls into play. Because you instinctively will want to help your special needs child. So you'll help them get dressed, and you'll help them feed themselves, and you'll do it all for themselves because you don't want to see them struggle. Right? A special needs child has a hard time holding a spoon. So you'll feed them every single day. But what's happening? Is that a good thing? Tell me in the comments. Do you think that's a good thing? To coddle a special child, or a child that is deaf and you don't want them to suffer at school, so you are there for them, constantly giving them the cues, but you don't allow them to learn their own sign language because you don't want them to have to struggle? Speak to some of the most successful people out there, and they with disabilities or with special needs, as I like to say, and they will tell you, my mother made me struggle. Because if she didn't teach me how to take care of myself, then what if my mother wasn't there one day? If I never learned how to walk because it was hard on me, then I never learned independence. Exactly, Corinne. We need to be able to foster independence. And even though it hurts you, and let me tell you, so Zalmi was born with low muscle tone, right? Children with Down syndrome have very low muscle tone. And one of the things that we had to do was teach him independence and teach them how to build up his muscle. One of the therapies we used was medic therapy, a phenomenal therapy. And in fact, Joanne Weltman helped me a lot. Shout out to Yehudis Basara, Complete Refuah Shalema. And she helped me a lot. And she would do medic therapy with Zalmi. But I have to tell you the truth. Sometimes I would watch Zalmi in this medic and I would run out of the room crying. And my instinctive nature was to tell the therapist, go home. You are hurting my child. My child would be crying through this therapy and I couldn't watch it. And I would become a basket case and I would feel horrified. And I would feel so desperate. And that was my chesed voice. And my Rahmanis voice, my third column, the middle of the road, was telling me, Goldie, if it's too much for you, leave the room. Your child must get this therapy because this will be for their benefit in the long run. And so as I watched him suffer, I knew that in the long run, it's for his benefit. For me, it was horrible. For me, it was devastating because as a mother, it's only about chesed. You only want to be there for your child with chesed. But for my child, the long run, that allowed him to walk earlier, and that allowed him to walk straighter, and that allowed him to walk long distances. He was able to walk from our home to shul, which is a 20-minute walk. If he hadn't done that therapy, he would have had such low muscle tone, he would have walked slowly and very short distances, and would that have been for his benefit? So that's what we're learning about today. Today we're learning about compassion. And I want you to think about this third column as we go on in the class this morning. I want you to be able to identify, and if you want, put down in the comments, what would you say is your innate nature? Are you chesed, which is indiscriminate kindness? Are you gevura, which is indiscriminate distinction and discrimination, strength? Or are you chesed, are you rachmanus, which is tiferet? In the words in the Tanya, the word is tiferet. Are you tiferet? Okay, we have a few honest friends here. We have Dorit who says she's all chesed. All right? Let me see a few of you giving a few more, being open, being vulnerable now on Tanya. What would you say is your go-to attribute? Chesed, Gevura, or Tiferet? Waiting to see some of you as a parent, or it could be as a friend. Corinne also, you say you're all... Oh, so you think you're Tiferet? Okay. Clara says depends. Bettina says Tiferet. Woo. Woo, woo, woo. All right. Tova, Chesed. Okay. Yiddish Shemama. We're mostly Chesed. You're right. Rosalie says Chesed. Combo of Chesed and Gevura, Gail, that gives you Tiferet. Tiferet. Francesca, you say Chesed. Okay. And Francesca, good luck on your lockdown today in Italy. So sorry to hear about that. I hope Ontario doesn't get to that space right now. Okay. So we're seeing a lot of you saying Chesed. Some of you are saying a combo. So the combo would be, okay, let's make it practical. Your child has a big report or project due. It's getting late. It's due on Tuesday. Today is Monday. Kid hadn't started yet. What are you going to do? What's a mom going to do? Project's on Tuesday. It's already Monday night. Kid left it off because she was sitting on her tablet a lot. She was playing games with her friends on the internet. She was reading. She was helping in the house. But project's due tomorrow. What are you as a mom going to do? Put it down in the comments because this is going to determine who you really are. I know a lot of you wrote down Chesed before, but this is an example as a parent. Oh, Carmela says, been there. All right. Carmela, what did you do? Did you do the project for your child? This is really honesty moments, guys. Gotta be honest with us. We're learning Tanya. What's going on? Did you do the project for your kid? Nag and beg. But Dorit, what happened when you nagged and begged? What did that actually reflect? Did you do the project for your child? Oh my God, I got to see one of those faces. The monkey emoji. Because if you did the project for your child, then you're pure chesed, and that made you a good mother. Corinne says, tell her if she doesn't do it, she'll get a 0. So you backed off. Help them get it done. Okay. So let me explain to you what compassion is, okay? Call up the teacher or come up with a consequence for the teacher or with the teacher. Arlene, you have to teach your children to be responsible for their actions. Okay, so because we have so many amazing mothers here, help them get going and then they're on their own. Okay, that sounds practical. So you're doing a little chesed, but then you're backing off. Okay, because the truth is, and you're all aligning with that, first ask why. Let me read this over here. Gail says, first ask why last minute. If procrastinate, this is not a typical behavior, I will help them with some parts. Okay. Bettina says, with the teacher. Right. Find a consequence that with the teacher, so your child does have to get a consequence. You're right. Because compassion, you need to understand this. Compassion is about you not worrying about you being a good mother. It's about your child. It's about what you're doing for your child. If you're giving absolute chesed, you are not teaching your child consequences or that his actions will have ramifications. And how will it work out in their relationship when they get married? How will it work out in their work placement when they get older? They're always used to someone cutting them slack. The world doesn't cut slack all the time. The world expects action. And by indiscriminate chesed, we are not doing our children a favor. In fact, that's why Avraham was chesed, and he gave birth to 2 children, a holy child and a not holy child, which means that his relationship wasn't perfect. Yitzchak was distinction and severity, strength, Gevurah. He also gave birth to 2 children, Yaakov and Esav. He didn't have a completely holy home. But Yaakov, our father Yaakov, had 12 perfect shvatim. And that is why we as Jews are called what? Put it down in the comments. What are we called? Anybody know? Give me a thumbs up. If you know why we are called the children of Yaakov, what is that called? That is called Bnei Yisrael. We are not called the Bnei Avraham. We are not called the Bnei Yitzchak. We are called the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Yaakov. Yaakov's other name was Yisrael, right? Ruth, if you want to put down the Jewish name of someone that you want us to daven for, please put that down now. We are called the Bnei Yisrael. Very good, Ava. Because we are the children of Yisrael, because he was compassion. He was pure balance, which means being kind to our family, but when it's good for them. And sometimes Gevurah when they need Gevurah. And I'll give you a little example, and then we'll wrap it up. I remember seeing a little child, I think it was at a playground, and a child comes up to the mother and said a very inappropriate comment. It was something an adult would say, and between me and you, it was pretty funny to hear it coming from the mouth of a child, but it was absolutely inappropriate. And the mother was standing with a bunch of friends, and the mother starts to laugh, and she goes, "Oh, isn't my kid hilarious? For a little 3-year-old to use those words, that is so funny." And she pinched her child's cheek, and she giggled. The child ran off, and I was horrified. I was horrified. The child did something cute, quote unquote. It was inappropriate language. But the parent thought it was so cute because it was like an adult speaking. It was an adult that you and I hopefully wouldn't use those words, but it was definitely adult behavior. But it was inappropriate, disrespectful, and by the parent laughing it off, they were actually teaching their child that behavior is okay. The parent didn't want to be cruel, so to speak, like Korean, to be kind. The parent didn't want to reprimand the child because maybe the mother didn't want to show that she had a tough side to her. But at that moment, she lost a massive opportunity. She lost the opportunity to teach her child derech eretz, appropriate language, how to hold back, how not to be impulsive. So many things we try to teach our child. And I told you so many times the story of, I wonder if she was just embarrassed and covered by laughing. Yes, it could be she was embarrassed and covered up by laughing. But that still's not okay, Dorit. You see, education, chinuch, happens at these moments. When we learn Tanya, what we're learning now is so that the next time this happens to us and we are embarrassed by our child's wrongful behavior, we remember what we learned in Tanya and we align ourselves to what we learned and we take those tools. Remember I said today's chapter in Tanya is a toolbox. You need the tools. You know, it's very nice if you're fixing your home up in the cottage, but all your tools are back in Thornhill. If you need to fix your home, take your toolbox with you, right? So what we're learning, Dorit, is it's an excellent point that you said. It's so true. We want to cover up sometimes a child's behavior, so we'll laugh. But at the moment, if we can remember our toolbox that the Tanya teaches us, and we say, wait, this was funny, and everyone around is laughing. I could laugh along because I'm dead embarrassed. But I'm going to take this opportunity and get out of my comfort zone and show the Tiferet, my Tiferet side. Like Gail said, the balance between kindness and severity. I'm going to use that tool right now. And even if I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to stop. And I have seen many mothers who disregarded all the people watching and said, aha, this is my aha moment. I am going to do what I have to do. Like Sarah says, it's not about her. She's a mother always. She was presented with an opportunity. Amazing. I'm going to stop. Maybe my face is red. I'm going to hold myself together. And I'm going to say, what's the teaching moment right now? My teaching moment right now is to pull myself together and very gently say to the child, and it doesn't have to be in a gevura, severe, angry term like I've seen mother go, how dare you talk to me like that? What the nerve? Children don't talk. That's gevura. That's inappropriate. What you do at that moment is you align yourself with Tiferes, take a deep breath, and then use your chesed words with the touch of gevura. And you get down on your knees, perhaps, you sit down on the child's eye level and you say, sweetie, what you said now, my children don't use those words. That's not the way Hashem would like us to speak. Mommy and Daddy wouldn't be proud of that. There might be another way you can say it. Let's think of another way you could say it that's appropriate, that would make Hashem proud. And I would like to mention that bringing God into the equation deflects a lot of your ego. It's not about you. It's about God. Our Creator doesn't want us using such language. As I mentioned to you last time, Rabbi Twersky used the word espasnisht. And it would be actually a good phrase to bring into your home. And I'll say it again. Espasnish, which means it's not befitting for you. And what is that giving to the child? The message that you are better than that. You don't use such words because you are a daughter of God. You are a queen. You are a princess. And that's not how a bat melech, a princess, speaks. So you're not saying, how dare you talk like that? You embarrassed me so much in front of my friends. You are going to be ostracized from family. You are going to be put in quarantine for a month. And that's irrational. And that's not using your chachma and bina at the right time. You are becoming so emotional. You are not using your wisdom at this moment. So gather yourself around, breathe, and say to the child, and it's okay if you say this in front of your friends. You know why? Because you can be a role model for your friends. For friends who are allowing indiscriminatory language. For friends who are allowing all kinds of behavior to go without being addressed. And this works for teenagers too. Because you can say to the child, not in the heat of the moment, but you say to the child, you know, I was so surprised you said that because it's pasnish. It's not for you. You're such a sterling person. You have such good character. You're such a great student. You're such a kind, compassionate friend. I was shocked you said that. No? Like, don't you think this wasn't really you? And don't label them. You're labeling the expression. Like, that really wasn't you, right? You were probably just caught in the moment. And don't do it at that moment because you're right to it. For a young child, you could stop at the moment and address it. For a teenager, don't embarrass them in public, but at a safe time, in a safe space, say, you know, the words you used before, it was really upsetting. And I don't know if you realize it was really hurtful or it was really not appropriate. You probably didn't mean to say that. I know you were hurt. Maybe we could think of another word that could be used next time because those words, and it's not about me, you say to your child, it's not about me. Our family has a Hashem, has a God in our home. And we want God to be comfortable. We use the word many times in our class, Shechina Sheruya, that God's presence and godliness, his eminence, lives in our home. But does God want to be in a home that is full of foul language, shouting, screaming, inappropriate behaviors, unhealthy relationships? Does God feel comfortable in our home? I say not. So we need to bring Hashem into our home. That's why we have a mezuzah, but also our behavior. And so today's class, we had a lot more to do, so we'll finish it next week because we didn't get to the part how compassion allows you to also identify your relationship with God. So I want to give you a homework this week. If your instinct takes you to chesed, if you're instinctively taken to chesed because that's your nature, and a lot of you wrote that down, I want you to stop, take a deep breath, get into the third column, which is tiferet, and do what is appropriate for that person, whether it's a child or a marriage. Maybe next week we'll talk a little bit more about how tiferet falls into a relationship with a marriage. Okay, have a great week. Take care. Easy cleaning.